owing more on your house than it's worth. It's called having an underwater mortgage. And if you're in this situation, you are certainly not alone. CoreLogic says that more than 11 million households in the United States were underwater in the fourth quarter last year. That's more than 23% of all mortgaged homes. Compare that to the quarter before, when 22.5% of homes were underwater. The rate had fallen in the last 3 quarters, but that's mostly because more homes went into foreclosure.
This is one of those topics that we want to get a little bit more about, and let's bring in Pava Leyrer with the Heritage National Mortgage Corporation. Pava, thanks for your time tonight. 23% of all mortgaged homes are underwater in the last quarter of last year. How does that compare locally?
Well, locally we're seeing pockets of underwater. We're actually seeing a few places that are actually better than they were before. But there are some areas still suffering quite a bit because of the foreclosure and short sale rates that are happening. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that people don't have the money to make their mortgage payments.
Yeah, how much does this have to do with the values going down on homes?
Well, the values are going down based on what the sales are going to be. So if you've got a bank foreclosing on a property, the true value may not be listed. It might be what the bank wants to get rid of the property for. So it's really underwater already from what it would be at a discounted rate.
The way the government is changing loans, is that affecting this problem at all?
Oh, absolutely, because you need borrowers to borrow money to buy homes so that you can have more than one buyer for a house, and so that sellers can now ask a little bit more for their properties because there are more people that can finance properties to get homes. So you've got a cyclical problem. If you can't get borrowers into the mortgages, the homes are going to continue to drop so that you can buy for that one borrower out there.
You talked about pockets. For a state like Michigan that has been in this recession for longer than anyone can remember at this point in time, how does that affect this particular state? Does it have more of an impact if you're living in Michigan?
I believe it does, because if you don't have a job or your hours have been cut, that means that you're going to struggle more with your mortgage payments. So even if you're underwater, I'm underwater on my mortgage, but I continue to make the payment because I, at this point, have a job. But if that were to change, then you're going to change your focus and your priorities, and that may not be your mortgage any longer. So if you can't make your payments, and since you go into short sale or foreclosure, the value is going to drop, which creates more underwater activity.
You can see how this will have a domino effect down the line. I mean, is this an issue of contention locally within the real estate community, or is it something like, hey, this is the new normal?
Well, it is what's out there right now, but the benefit for West Michigan, there is a positive note here. We have pockets that are what I call stable. They've flattened. They're not declining as much as other areas. There's some areas in our community that actually
rattle off some names. Give me some names.
Say Hudsonville, Granville, Cascade area, Rockford. There are some areas that, sure, there are some houses in there that are in foreclosure, but you still have your areas of problems where you've had the houses that have been declining and are in foreclosure a little more, and I hate to say those communities too. But we are seeing a difference in the east side of the state. So the east side of the state, I have friends over there, are still dramatically different than what we are in the west side of the state. We see some difference, and we see some positiveness here on the west side, which I'm hoping will continue with the way that we're hoping the job forecast continues.
Pava Leyrer with Heritage National Mortgage. Thanks for your time tonight, Pava.
You're welcome.
See you.